Hi, this is Daniela Cambone, and welcome back. Our 2022 Outlook, The Tipping Point, continues with my guest today. Please welcome back to the show, David Morgan of the Morgan Report. David, Happy New Year. Always good to be with you.
No, Daniela, likewise. Thank you.
The start of a new year and how you see things today. And just to give some context, you spoke about, during the next financial crisis, instead of a bailout, we would see a bail-in. And the risk there is that we are all unsecured creditors of the banks, and we could potentially lose the money that we have there.
Yeah, great start. Just to reiterate it a bit, the conditions are fact, so I didn't get much pushback because people took the time to check out what I'd said, verified it. And it's even getting worse, in my opinion. In other words, the chances of a bail-in actually taking place are greater. And the reason I say that in some jurisdictions, it's required that you have a medical procedure. And if you don't have that medical procedure, you can't have access to, let's say, food or even your banking system. So that's the trend that is beginning, and I think it will continue. So the idea that what you said, repeating, you're an unsecured creditor, that money, quote unquote money, what we consider money, the currency in whatever jurisdiction you're in, and I'm referring to the bail-ins in North America, it's really not yours. So the best way out is to hedge. Doesn't mean you take everything out of the bank. It means that you hedge yourself. And the best way to hedge is to go into the precious metals. So if you wanted to move a lot of money or move it into currency, stick it in your mattress, that's impossible, almost impossible. But the easiest way to do it is to write a check or do a wire and wire to a precious metals facility and take the money, the gold or silver, home, or store it in a facility that you trust. And that's a whole different topic, but that's the easiest way to hedge yourself. If you've got a 6-digit bank account and you're worried you want to move 20% in the precious metals, write a check to a good dealer, and there you've done it. So that's my take on the situation. I think we're getting closer to, and I don't want to call it a fear card, I think it's a reality card.
Okay, I just want to go back to something you said there about the medical condition. Can you just explain that a little bit more? What do you mean by that?
Well, there's vaxxed and unvaxxed. And if you're not vaxxed in some jurisdictions, you can't have access to food. You can't go in the grocery store. And
Ah,
in other jurisdictions, you can't. And I think it's proposed. I want to be very accurate when I state something that's quote unquote a fact. It's my understanding that it's either a fact now or soon to be that you can't access a bank account in some jurisdictions without having the vax. That's what I mean.
okay, but well, online you would be able to.
Well, that gets, I don't know, I won't be inaccurate here, but, a lot of this stuff I think is kind of scaremongering on their side. In other words, the authority figures are trying to scare us into compliance. And just because they say they're going to do it doesn't necessarily mean they'll follow through.
Yeah.
Or they'll start the scaremongering and follow through in a slight way, and they get so much pushback that they have to cease. So I'm trying to be very clear in my, outlook here, but it's in such disarray across the board. I mean, I don't want to go too big of a tangent here, but
Right.
it's the financial system, it's education, it's the pharmacia. I mean, it's everything out there. What can we trust? And the idea is you can't trust hardly anything anymore.
It's quite sad, in fact. But I think what was really eye opening for a lot of folks from that interview, David, that we did, is that we join a bank. You see the advertisements. They create this, it's a comfortable place. Come on in. It's your second home. You sign away. You open a bank account. You think that's my money. But one thing you always tell the folks is read the fine print. Even when you're buying gold and silver or whatever,
Oh, no.
read the fine print. We think that's our money. But for the folks at home who missed the first episode, can you explain how it's not necessarily our money, what's in the banks?
Yeah, all you have to do is read it, verify it for yourself, but you become, as you said, an unsecured creditor. So once it's in the banking system, it's basically their money at law. So of course you have access to it. And I don't know what he's talking about. I just went to my ATM and all that's well and good. And that's what's generally understood. But when the rubber meets the road, when the hard ball comes across the plate and you swing that and hit it, the bank has the authority, because you've signed a document, that they can use it as required. So if there is a financial failing taking place, they can do what they did in Cyprus, which means they can access your cash, your account, your digital money, and save themselves and give you a stock certificate as an owner in the failing bank. Whoop-de-doo.
So we spoke about how you're protecting yourself, but just to take it one step back, I've this is our Outlook series. I've had many guests on really concerned that 2022 will be the year that we would see a massive correction in the stock market. Some people will say, well, that's just a fear card. They've been saying it for a long time. But you haven't really been saying it for a long time. So I just want to get your thoughts. Are you really concerned that this is the year the market really has a serious correction? And by serious, I mean over 20%.
That's tough. I always want to be right. I think it's possible, and I think it's more likely than not. And the reason being is last time that the Fed said they were going to taper and they started to move up interest rates in a serious way, we had a 20% correction. And then that made them full of fear and they reversed course. I think we're set up in the same way this time. We have the Fed rhetoric saying that they're going to increase interest rates. And at the same time, if you check my Twitter feed, China has lowered theirs, first time in 20 months. So once this took place in 2016, what we saw that gold found a bottom, didn't crash, found a bottom. And once the Fed said, uh-oh, we made a mistake, gold took off massively. So did silver. And that's what I expect again. In fact, what I expect is that instead of being a repeat of 2016, it'll have a lot more traction because at some point, the bond market is going to face reality. And the reality is that you can't print yourself wealthy.